What's good, everyone? Welcome back for another session. Now, I know I talked a lot about this guy in the last no item run video on the Cell Max Fearsome Activation event, but more or less just wanted to highlight how this guy really needs an EZA in Part 2 Worldwide Celebration 2023, and it just simply makes sense because of the theme around the celebration itself, just to go ahead and give this guy an EZA. So again, I know I talked about it quite a bit in the last video with the again, the no item run on the event. If you happen to miss it, if you want to see the full run, I'll put the link in the pinned comment, but let me just go ahead and talk about this unit again. Now, my biggest gripe about this unit is mainly around two things. I think one, predominantly being around the defensive abilities for this unit, but also some of the key factors kind of make things a little bit troublesome when it comes to the overall, team builds and ability to, kind of get the 18 key super attack on a consistent basis. So, starting off with the defense of this guy, I understand, with the super attack and ultra super attack, you've got the ability to greatly raise defense for one turn respectively, but it's a one turn limitation, so it's limited to just one turn. So you're not able to kind of build up defense over time throughout the run itself or event or what have you. Outside of that, the passive skill really just involves, a defensive increase of 66%, and there's not really much outside of that. So that's really limiting this guy up to this point. And as far as we know, like the release dates initially, I mean, it's February 17th of 2020 on JP, and then July 27th in 2020 for the global version. So obviously, it's been quite a bit since the unit itself has been released, and again, it just makes sense to release the EZA for this guy during the celebration, hopefully in Part 2. Now, I don't know if that'll actually take place, but the inclination is probably likely that it'll happen. At least I'm hoping so. Now, just going back to the overall unit itself, I did kind of mention this again, but the key buildup is a little bit restrictive, right? Especially on some of these tougher events, because you get key +2 with each final blow delivered up to key +6. Now, that has to happen by this guy delivering the final blow of each, enemy phase or whatnot. So you really have to time your placement of the units on the turn and what have you, and just guaranteeing the final blow being delivered by this guy is pretty random and spontaneous, and a lot of it's kind of based on RNG as well. So again, that's kind of where the two central themes around the limitations currently around this guy revolves around, at least in my opinion. So I understand, he has a recovery of 6% HP at the end of the turn in which an attack was received, which is fine. Likely with an EZA, maybe they'll boost that up to 10%, but at the very minimum, that base passive skill increase toward defense certainly needs to increase, or you kind of have some additional parameters built in to where you do get a further defensive boost. And honestly, it'd be great if the super attack and ultra super attack, the ability to greatly raise defense, just get rid of that one turn limitation, maybe at least do a 3-turn parameter around that. That way you're able to build up the defense, a little bit more as well. I think overall, attack stats wise, this unit's more than good enough in my opinion. I mean, you're consistently able to get some pretty good output overall. Again, plus an additional attack increase of 6% each time key rises by 1 up to 120%. So he does have, along with the 66% attack increase base, you've got that ability to further increase that by 120%. I think in an ideal scenario, right, if it was up to me with the EZA, along with greatly raising defense for let's just say 3 turns, right, build in something to, raise attack for 1 turn or something as well, right? I think that'll be fine. It might be a little bit too crazy where you're starting to see 15 million plus in attack stats or what have you, but based on the recent units being released and 200% leader skills, that's not necessarily abnormal nowadays, as crazy as that sounds, right? So I think consistently, as long as you do that, that should be fine. I don't think this will happen where they end up changing the final blow delivered requirement for the key build, but there's got to be additional ways to build up the key as well. Now, obviously, if you build in a team with certain units, like the intelligence type Zamasu unit, you're able to, mitigate some of that where you're able to get some key additionally, based on intelligence type key spheres or whatever. But again, like, based on the Cell Max event and even like this First Form Cell Red Zone event that just, came out the other week, this guy just is such a defensive liability. It's not even worth including this guy on a team, really. I just happened to do it on the Cell Max event because I really wanted a very specific team build in terms of just trying to tackle through the no item run. So luckily I was able to pull that off, but obviously if it was up to me, like, certainly better units are out there within the availability of units that are currently in the game. So again, it's more or less just my knucklehead stubbornness that really just wanted to force this guy to be on the team, even though this guy kind of carried it a little bit with the enraged transformation or the whatever active skill or whatever you want to call it. But I think, speaking of which, again, I know, like, you cause destructive damage to enemy with the super attack, 12 key, and then the 18 key is also that destructive damage to enemy. Passive skill obviously receives an additional key +1 per key sphere obtained, and then attacks effective against all types. Now, again, with the key build-up, with the non-enraged mode, like, it'd be great, honestly, if you get a key +1 for every key sphere to obtain. That would make a lot more sense, and it'd be a lot more easier to do. I doubt they're gonna include any like the nuking passes where you get an attack and defense increase by key spheres obtained or whatever. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. It's hard to say, but either way, the bottom line is, like, the defensive ability is an issue, as well as the key buildup is an issue as well. I don't know. That's just the way I feel like, kind of playing through this. And, honestly, you can get, lucky as long as you have, like, key spheres available, especially if you have, for example, the intelligence type LR Fusion Zamasu unit on a rotation, like a floater support type deal, even though it's not really a support, but you get what I mean in that regard. But outside of that, if you don't have, either orb changing units or key boosting units or whatever, it's going to be hard to really get the 18Q super attack consistently with this guy. It just seems like that's certainly the case. But I love the unit. I think the card art itself is amazing. It's a very beautiful card art. The unit itself, I mean, I think this guy could be a very, very good unit. Just, a little bit upgrades here and there with the EZA, and this guy should be fine. I don't know. It's just hard to say whether that's actually going to happen. I really do hope it happens, but right there you can see the in comparison to some of the other units, like the damage received by the enemies on this red zone event is quite higher as well. Even after the super attack, you're looking at 51,000, I think it was, with the normal attack, and with the super attack, you're looking at 321,000 in damage received. So, I mean, that should be, I think this is a type advantage situation too. So yeah, I mean, it really clearly lays out the landscape of where this guy is right now in the game. So, of course, there's been a lot of changes, a lot of newly released units, some of the meta changes as well. So yeah, I mean, it's about that time for this guy to get an upgrade. Now, I know consistently you're seeing a lot of the 18 key super attacks with this guy, but initially when the event first starts, it can be difficult depending on the way you build the team in terms of getting this guy's 18 key super attack. I think more or less, if it was up to me, my preference would be just make it a little bit easier. That way it's a lot more consistent, and just kind of go from there. Again, like, attack stats and output wise, more than good enough. I don't expect like crazy levels, to increase. Like, I don't know, the way to guess it at this point is with an EZA, you're probably looking at this guy being, being able to produce roughly like 12 million plus in attack stats. It's probably where things are headed, especially given the landscape of the dokkan game right now. So that's kind of my overall thoughts. Again, hopefully part 2, this guy does get an EZA and a lot more viable option in terms of team builds, because this team setup is a lot of fun to run. Like, I enjoy this team a lot. It's just the INT LR Rose is kind of holding the team back a little bit, you know what I mean? So that's really what it comes down to, I think, at the end of the day. So with that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. As always, thanks for watching, and catch you guys later.